It's August 2025, and President Donald Trump just dropped a bombshell. He's sending over 4,000 US Marines and sailors to the waters off of Venezuela's coast. We're talking warships, submarines, fighter jets, and enough firepower to make Hollywood jealous. Apparently, it's a counter-narcotics operation to take down the drug cartels. But the streets are whispering something bigger might be coming. Is Trump gearing up for a full-scale invasion? Is this the start of a regime change for Venezuela? Let's unpack this drama from the high seas to the geopolitical chessboard and figure out what's really going on here. Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela's president, is running what Trump calls a, quote, narco state, accusing him of teaming up with drug lords to flood the United States with fentanyl and cocaine. Back in February 2025, Trump slapped a terrorist label on Venezuela's Tren de Agua gang and the so-called Cartel of the Suns, which he says is led by Maduro himself. Oh, and he doubled the bounty on Maduro's head to a cool $50 million, which is pretty insane. Now, Trump's not playing small ball. This operation is massive, one of the biggest military operations the United States has seen in terms of the Caribbean Sea since 1989, when the United States invaded Panama. Right now, we've got 3 Aegis destroyers, the US Gravely, USS Jason Dunham, and the USS Samson, packing enough missiles to make anybody sweat. Then there's the 2 Iwo Jima Amphibious Ready Group, with ships like the USS Iwo Jima and the USS San Antonio, carrying the 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit. That's 4,000 Marines, helicopters, armored vehicles, and rapid deployment teams ready to roll. Add a nuclear-powered attack sub and P-8 Poseidon spy planes, and you've got a floating fortress off of Venezuela's coast. And the mission is to hunt down drug traffickers, gather intel, and maybe, just maybe, send a strong message to Maduro. And here's where things get really juicy. Trump is not saying no to a boots-on-the-ground operation. When reporters pressed him on whether he'd invade, his team dropped a very cryptic line. Quote, "The president is prepared to use every element of American power." That's classic Trump right there, just keeping everyone guessing. Is he just flexing to scare Maduro, or is he seriously eyeing a ground invasion? To understand this move, we need to rewind. Trump's had a beef with Venezuela since his first term. Back in 2018, he was caught off guard asking his advisors why the US couldn't just invade Venezuela and kick Maduro out. And in 2019, he doubled down, saying military action was, quote, an option. The guy's been consistent. He sees Maduro as a dictator who's tanked his country and fueled a refugee crisis that's hit the United States borders. In 2020, Trump sent a smaller naval force to the Caribbean for a smaller anti-drug mission, but it was more of a show than actual substance. Fast forward to 2025, and he's back in the White House, turning up the heat. And it's not just a few ships, it's a full-on armada. Let's talk history for a second. United States-Venezuela relationships have been a roller coaster since Hugo Chavez took over in 1999. Chavez naturalized oil, cozied up to Russia and China, and gave the United States the middle finger. When Maduro took the reins in 2013, things just got worse. Venezuela's economy crashed, hyperinflation hit millions of percent, people were starving, and millions fled. The United States piled on sanctions targeting oil exports and Maduro's inner circle. President Joe Biden's team tried a softer approach, negotiating with Maduro for oil and prisoner swaps. But Trump's back to his old playbook, maximum pressure, military style. So what's the deal with this operation? The Pentagon says it's all about stopping drugs, especially fentanyl, which Trump blames for America's opioid crisis. While he's not wrong, cartels are a problem, but there's a bigger kicker here. Only about 7% of cocaine moves through Venezuelan waters per DEA stats. So why send over 4,000 Marines for just a drug bust? Some Pentagon insiders are scratching their heads, pointing out that the Coast Guard usually handles this type of stuff. Marines are built for combat, not chasing speedboats. So this has folks wondering what the real target is. Is it Maduro himself? Or maybe just a bigger geopolitical flex against Russia and China, who both have stakes in Venezuela's oil and military. But Maduro is not sitting quietly. He has called up over 4.5 million militia members. Yeah, you heard that right. 4.5 million. To defend Venezuela's sacred oil. He's painting the United States as a declining empire trying to bully its way into Latin America. But let's be real here. Venezuela's military is underfunded, and those militias are more of a show than a real threat. Still, Maduro is leaning into the drama, rallying his base and warning of a fight to the death. Meanwhile, Latin America is just watching nervously. Mexico's president flat out said no to US military moves, and countries like Brazil are side-eyeing this operation. Remembering the United States invasions of Panama and Grenada, this region's got a long memory of Uncle Sam's heavy hand. Now let's get to the invasion talk. Could Trump actually send troops ashore? An invasion would be a wild card. Venezuela's terrain is brutal, thick jungles, mountains, and urban sprawl. Plus, Russia and China might not sit back idly. They've got billions invested in Venezuela. A ground war could also tank Trump's domestic support. Nobody's itching for another Iraq war. Most analysts think this is just a power play. Park a massive amount of forces off of Venezuela's coast, spook Maduro, and maybe force him to negotiate or slip up. But with Donald J. Trump, you never really know. The guy loves to keep his enemies off balance, and those Marines are ready to roll if he gives the word. So what's the endgame here? If Trump's goal is to topple Maduro, he's got options short of invasion on the table. Sanctions, covert operations, or backing opposition groups. But if he is just flexing, this operation could backfire. Latin America's already wary of the United States, and countries like Mexico and Brazil aren't signing up for Trump's crusade. Venezuela's already a humanitarian train wreck. Empty stores, high prices, and millions of refugees flooding to Colombia and Brazil. If this escalates, it's going to be everyday Venezuelans who will pay the price. Maduro's militia might sound tough, but they're mostly civilians with minimal to no training and limited to no firearms. They're absolutely no match for the United States. If things pop off, we could see more chaos and more refugees. And of course, more suffering in a country that's already on its knees. And guess where a lot of those refugees will be wanting to go? That's right, the United States. There's also the money angle to this. This operation is burning through millions, maybe even billions of dollars. Between warships, planes, and 4,000 troops, if this thing drags on, taxpayers might start asking questions about what's the return on investment in this situation. And for Venezuelans, it's going to be even worse. Sanctions have already crushed their economy to a pulp, and a naval blockade could scare off their last trading partners. Global oil prices could spike if Venezuela's exports get choked, hitting gas pumps worldwide. And as I said earlier, a lot of Venezuelans will end up leaving the country. If this operation truly does escalate to say the level of a naval standoff, or even if there's a single hint of an invasion, panic could grip Venezuela very fast and families might just bolt, thinking that a full-on war is coming, and that their country will end up being treated like Chile in 1975, or one of the many other governments that were, quote, overthrown by the United States. Although Trump's been hammering border security, this move could backfire. A lot of migrants could start flooding into states like Texas and Arizona as asylum seekers. And depending on what side of the political aisle you're on, it could make you angry. Since this would legitimately destabilize the country, a lot of people would have a solid claim to asylum. Asylum is typically only possible when there is an actual problem going on in the home country. Around January and February 2025, Donald Trump said that Venezuela was essentially safe for people to go back. And because of that, he's been deporting a lot of Venezuelans and denying them asylum. But if Trump did this, those same asylum seekers would have a great case to stay in the United States. Overall, this is an extremely complex situation. It's a geopolitical gamble that could reshape the Caribbean for better or for worse. Is this about drugs, oil, or just Trump trying to do his Trump things? Honestly, it could be all of the above. But one thing is for sure, the Caribbean's heating up, and the world's got its eyes locked in. Drop your takes down in the comment section below. What is Trump's next play here? Also, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for more daily videos.